this is the Jedi. I first want to shout out Sharon Ya La Negra for the video clip that you sent me. I didn't get a chance to watch it yet, but at least I went to it because I was still at the library when I saw your comment with the but I'm very intrigued, and I probably will end up doing something on that. I also want to shout out Empress de Akibalan. You are a revelation, and I fully and thoroughly enjoy our long sessions. Time just gets away from us, you know. But I always say you only have one arc. And you'll get something a little later. Hold on, you guys. Let me just clean this this camera lens real quick. I feel like I could do a little bit better. Okay. And also, I should take this moment to pose for my thumbnail picture. Okay, that's the thumbnail. I want to talk about several things in this piece. I mentioned in my last video about the upcoming execution of Rodney Reed in Texas. And I'm deeply troubled by that. Because as I say, there's so many of us that are in prison now and have been for many decades over crimes we didn't commit, and in many cases they know the person is innocent. But you see, with this enemy of our people, it's always about ego. I always tell you that they have to be right even when they're wrong. You can show plainly and clearly you're wrong. You just can't, they don't have the ability to concede what is right. You know? I also want to talk about Tatiana Jefferson's father, who passed away on Saturday. And I have thoughts about that. I'm trying to look at my notes, you guys, because I just jotted like what it is I need to talk about. And I don't want to forget anything. I also want to make statements about the interview that Wendy Williams did with Robin Crawford. Remember, she was the best friend of Whitney Houston for many years. She was at her side. There was speculation about their relationship and what its true depth was. But I want to begin tonight with this issue of this coach's wife at Florida State University, the football team. The wife of the coach of the team is now making headlines because we have video of her kissing all the players as they come off of their tour bus or whatever, or their team bus, you know. And the first thing I want to say about that, and this is something that you should apply to your life in general, the moment something feels wrong, it's wrong. And conversely, the moment something feels right, it's right. And one of the keys to success in life is you always listen to that first inclination, because it's the purest, and you need it even more so now in this society now, because humanity and morality and righteousness is being attacked and degraded at a level that it hasn't been ever in history, and that's only escalating. So it becomes more difficult even, and I would almost even suggest it will become, if it has not already become, impossible to feel and hear that first inspiration. You know, that's the voice of God speaking to you. That's your guidance. That's your angels that are on either side of you that record everything that you do in life. But there's a whisper, a whisper, a whisper, a whisper. And I was disgusted when I first saw this because I'm an African man. But I'm also an African man who's ever and always consciously aware of my enemy, my environment, and my condition. My enemy, my environment, and my condition. And under condition would also come history. I am still Emmett Till. I'm George Stinney. I'm every African man who has ever been lynched because of their interaction with a white bitch. I am them. Their spirit lives in me. I am possessed by them, but more than that, righteousness demands that I am mindful of them and the price they paid. I'm also the brother that was in the elevator in Greenwood, Oklahoma in 1921, where some white bitch told yet another lie, and our entire community was burned down and bombed from the sky. They went door to door murdering our people. Thousands of them going door to door. These are still the same people, and no one gets to tell me how I am supposed to feel about my oppression, past, present, and future. As African people, we have enough to carry the burden of our oppression and our struggle. We are not required to also carry the feelings of white people. That's not our charge. We don't need to. We don't need to carry that. So, we don't need to focus on that at all. We need to focus on us. And we need to begin to set the tone of how we deal with everything in their society. What also makes this egregious is the parents of these boys, because apparently there's some kind of tradition that has gone on, you see. And tradition be damned, you know, that's the last thing you ever want to put in my face, because slavery was tradition at a time, and still is, if you ask me. So just because something has been tradition and always done doesn't make it right. I cannot deny myself the opportunity here to say the following to you. I always tell you, way of life. Way of life. I'll say it again, way of life. And so, why that becomes important here, and I'm able to use that, is because I always tell you, one of the ways that we live our lives as Muslims is there is no contact between males and females who are not related. If you're not my mama, my grandmama, my sister, my auntie, my cousin, I don't have any permission to have any physical contact with you, not even shake your hand. Certainly a hug is out, and a kiss would be blasphemous. So just think now. I've said to my people for years and years now, Even if you don't want to become Muslim, you should be able to see when I'm describing our way of life. That means everything we do from day to night, from birth to death. It's just what we do. If my people could adopt just those principles of way of life, even if you still want to hold on to this nonsense that Jesus is your personal Savior and all this nonsense, if you could still just live your life the way we live our life, even this would not be a headline. Wouldn't be a headline. You know why? Because those boys, it would be known. Yeah, these are Muslim boys, and it's against their religious tenets and their way of life. And it's against what God has ordained for them, that your white ass should touch my child. And they would also let them know. These are university kids. So they would be like, nah, heifer, back. You don't need to touch me. You don't need to touch me at all. You don't need to touch me. So this wouldn't even be a headline. You see? It wouldn't even be a headline. Way of life. But since it is a headline, we will deal with it in that context, sadly. This is so wrong, and I also pulled up something from, you guys know I don't ever read articles in advance, and I just pulled up, I wanted something that I could read on this, and I saw BET, and that's supposed to be a black source, so I thought I would go with that. But I want to say this, as I lose my train of thought, was disgusted by this. Because this is the coach's wife. What do you need to be touching on these boys for? And I will tell you why. Because it is a fact that has been well documented. You don't need to take my word for it. That black women lust, or white women lust after black men and boys. They lust after our males. They do. No matter what their age is, they lust after our males. No matter what age our males are, either. You see? There is a lust factor. And these are not, middle school kids. These are Florida State University. So these are essentially men bodies, even if we're not going to assign them the title of man yet, because I always tell you, you got to earn that. But just physically, that's a man body that most of these guys have. And I suggest to you that she's getting some cheap sexual thrill of having contact with these boys. When I watched the video, some of them she's nudging the nose, and the way she's holding them. It's very intimate, you see. So it's beyond even just some innocent kiss. It's an intimate embrace. And she's getting something out of that. And you must infer that when they come off the bus, they probably got on their little cologne or whatever. So there's that, and just their masculine scent and the masculinity of their bodies. She's getting something from that. I suggest. But let's flip the tables, because these are also the biggest hypocrites on the earth. You just Google the word hypocrite and a picture of them comes up. Hypocrite. Now, let's change it to it's a female team of little white girls. And there's some big muscular black dude out there. And he's clearly masculine. He can't be like a sissy type. Like a masculine dude. Like, I don't know who to call on right now, but I'm just saying. And that this was happening. It would be a problem. Everything is okay as long as they're doing it. As soon as somebody else does it, it's a problem. That's what we see as the norm. That's their response to everything. So if it was a black man out there kissing on white girls of college age, when they came off those buses, their heads would roll off. Their heads would roll off. Let's take it a step further. What say the parents of these boys? Because now everything is transgender, and I self-identify, Forget what God has created. I self-identify, like you're suddenly anointing yourself as God and the Creator now. I self-identify as Oprah. All right? You will not know me as the Jedi from now on. You will know me as Oprah. I self-identify as Oprah and a billionaire. I self-identify. But in this era of all of that, let's now, what would say the parents now, if there's some self-identifying woman out there that's not really a woman, that's kissing on these boys when they come off the bus, what would the parents have to say? You see? So it goes both ways here, because fear is installed in my people because you don't have a way of life. And because you don't have a way of life, and you don't know the divine, and you don't know his true teaching, and you don't know that he is the only thing that you should fear, and you don't know that you should fear him, that he's not your best friend, you fear this enemy. You don't want to say anything, because position and material and worldly things are more important to you than the hereafter. You don't even contemplate that. Because remember, Master's already said you're going to heaven. You just confess Christ and you're going to heaven. So you don't need to do anything. You don't need to earn paradise. That's out. You're going automatically. It's a golden ticket. You're going. Until you're not. So you are not going to speak up like someone like me would speak up. And any offspring of mine, they just go along with it. You are the go along to get along. And you are holding us back. You're holding us back. You have and you are. So let's put a transgender out there that's self-identifying to hug and kiss on these boys. Let's do that. Let's have some openly gay, clearly feminine person out there kissing on the boys. Why stop there? Why stop at her? Let's go all the way. You see, then there will be a problem. You must remain consistent, my people. And when we talk about speaking with one voice, this way of life that I'm describing has to be executed by all of us. There's always an inroad. I saw where they said that one of the parents had spoken out in defense of this white bitch. They didn't show who the person was. But I didn't see none but black boys coming off that bus. I don't have a team picture, so maybe there's some, I don't know. But that made me sick too, because that was right back to both them Jim John's brother. You understand? It was back to the South Carolina 9 people being shot and the people marching to the court to claim their love and forgiveness. It was all that all over again for me. And then some. So I can't. And this is supposed to be the hashtags times up. Hashtag me too. Hashtag I can't. Hashtag I was touched 80 years ago. Hashtag. This is a lawsuit. This is a lawsuit in my mind. You see? And not for monetary gain at this juncture. The suit would just be a cease and desist action. Like stop now or pay the price. You see? That's where it would be. As far as I'm concerned. But I again maintain she's getting some sexual thrill. And oh, by the way, what if one of these boys comes off the bus and he's in a state of arousal? And she's pressing up against him. What if the tables were turned? What if the boys were coming off, were being very hands-on with her? Let's say this whole traditional stuff wasn't in play. And just the boys were being frisky with her. That would be a problem. You see? Because like any white bitch, she would run for the hills screaming rape and hashtag and I was assaulted and it would be all of this. This leads to another headline of her sleeping with them. Or she was gang raped, or she was this or that, or they assaulted me, or I was attacked, or something. You cannot ever let the passage of time let you think that something has changed, everybody. That's one of the things my people have been seduced by and are buying into. You think with the passage of time that things are just different because they say so. But if you open your eyes, you realize that nothing has changed. And these are still the same damn people from 1619 to 2019. Same people. Same people. Same people. It's just that, sadly, when you see a lot of this stuff from history, it's in black and white. So it appears distant and other and, unassociated. That's why I've said we need to colorize everything so that the young generation now can see, oh, they wearing the same stuff we was wearing now. Oh, they wearing such and such. Oh, they wearing, It needs to be more current in the mind. HD pictures and things like this, you understand? So this is a problem. This is a problem. Now, I want to first look at this BET article. It says, it says, when a kiss isn't just a kiss. Power, privilege, and race in Florida coach's wife's pregame ritual. Listen, you're not going to convince me any differently. She is getting a sexual thrill out of touching these boys. You understand? Sadly, when you're on the internet, which I can't be now, but sadly, when you're on the internet, any of us that have been, you can click on something and then porn pops up, And so even me, the Muslim, I'm aware of this, I don't know what to call it. I'll just say scenario where you have the white husband and the white girlfriend or wife, and they invite a black man to come in. And both of them like being abused and taken by that black man. Is that just going on in the movies? I think not. You understand? So there's something that is microsexual there. If I can just make up and introduce that term. There's something microsexual going on. There's something microsexual going on. And let us also remember that this is when our boys are at their most prime. This is the creme de la creme, la pièce de résistance. They're athletes too on the football team, so the highest level of physical development and virility and all of that. Like my nephew, the Prince, he'll be 18 in February, unless I kill him first. That's something else. That'll be in the book. Don't focus on that. All right. He will be 18. If he lives, he'll be 18 in February. But since he's even been in his teen years, I find myself even more protective over him. He send me pictures of him and classmates, or they're on a trip or something, and I'm like, "Who's that heifer up too close to my nephew? Who's that?" Get her hot ass back. You get your hot ass. You say get your ass. You see. And certainly I wouldn't have some white woman kissing up on my nephew. I'd be marching up there to see her to her face. You see? Until you don't have another chance to touch my child. You don't have another chance to do that. That ends right now, today. You and your tradition can go and sit down some damn place. Your ritual. And then she was saying, it's just to give love. And then some bitch wrote, I'm so glad you're doing this because I never have a chance to get to his games, and so I'm not able to show him the love. Like that little kiss is all the love they need coming off a damn bus like that fills the love quotient for a child. It's ridiculous on its face. It has no merit. None at all. None at all. None. You understand? And I'm already disgusted, as you all know, over our athletes playing for any of these damn white people at all. We shouldn't have our kids playing for nobody. Florida State, no NFL, no NBA, none of that. We should own it. But because they don't have the heart of the Muslim, they don't have the heart of the lion, they are simps and weak cream puffs. who don't know the value and the meaning of sacrifice. That sometimes you just have to give up something for the greater good and out of what is right. As long as black Christians are out there, we're never going to own any of this stuff. Because money matters to you more than the maker. You're just like your master. Money matters more to you. That's why when Donald Sterling did his thing a few years ago, the Clippers, all they could do was turn a t-shirt inside out. That's all you get? That's all you get as a t-shirt? That's all you get. When none of this happens without you, walk out. You don't have anybody even there on the team to say, brothers, we need to just walk up out of here. All week, and you make me sick. Weak. This is why you have babies out of wedlock and baby mama and baby father, because there's no discipline. You are weak. So you definitely don't have what it takes to submit from day to night to the Creator. Submission. You like well, Christ died for me, so I don't have to do anything. You see? I don't care how you spend it, everybody. You're living a life of sin. And there's going to be a price to pay. And it doesn't make it, sin doesn't become right just because they say. And because that's what they've allowed in their society. You understand? It's still sin. And you'll be burning right next to their ass on the great day. Right next to them. Right next to them. So there is something microsexual going on. Damn it. All right. This is from BET. All right. It's written by Jared Hector. I want to feel good about Megan Mullen giving her husband's players a hug and a kiss before every game. And by the way, these are godless folks. So their norm is to have little girlfriends and all that from the time they knee high to a grape. You see. So where's their girlfriends at? Why can't the girlfriends be there to kiss upon them? You see, this also perpetuates this feeling of a white woman touching them. So we shouldn't be surprised in a couple of years when they all have white girlfriends and all this nonsense. You see, this is a problem, everybody. This is a problem. It's a damn problem. And just like you have these fake Jews screaming anti-Semitism every 5 minutes, we should be screaming something every 5 minutes. Every 10 seconds we should be screaming something. Because our history is far worse than theirs can ever imagine. And ours continues. You see, theirs was in another land, not even here. And it was one time in history. And that was it. You see? And allegedly they got the guy that did it and all this, you see. But ours is a whole race of people. An entire race. Every damn day. Every day. I just saw a story where this guy was eating a sandwich. I think it was somewhere out in California or something. On the subway platform. And he had to have 5 police to come and take him down for a fucking sandwich. White police. You see? Every single day it is something. Every single day it's something. Some attack. Some aggression upon our people from one of them. So we cannot isolate it to their government or their bureaucracies. It's the individuals also. It's all of them. It's all of them. Because these stories pop up from everywhere, all the time, every day. Every day. Every day. It's something. Every day. Giving her husband's players a hug and a kiss before every game. I really do. He says, I want to feel really good about this, but I really do. I want to live in a world where it's okay for me to feel good about this white bitch showing affection to her husband's team. And yet, it has been 6 days since the internet was sent into a frenzy when a University of Georgia superfan posted a photo on Twitter of this whore giving each member of the Florida Gators football team a hug and a kiss as they departed the bus and headed into the stadium for their annual rivalry game against the Georgia Bulldogs. a tradition she says, a tradition she has maintained since the Mullins returned to Gainesville, Florida. Her husband, Dan, was offensive coordinator from 2005 to 2008 under then head coach Urban Meyer. He left in 2009 to become the head coach at Mississippi State and became the Gators' head ball coach in 2018. Again, why isn't this a black coach? Why aren't we owning this? You understand what I'm saying? I can't, dude. Like, this, and then you got them churches on top of it. Every fucking church across this bitch should be teaching. You don't hand your children over for any of their athletics. You don't do that. We can shut down that entire multi-billion, trillion-dollar industry overnight. Overnight. They are our children. So I have two at home. Then I have a furry baby. And then I have a big baby as a husband. And I've got 119 others. The biggest honor that can be bestowed upon us as a coach. Let me read that again. I missed a line. It says, I believe Mullen, the author is saying, I believe this whore, when she told Rivals.com in 2018, quote, they are our children. So I have two at home, then I have a furry baby, and then I have a big baby as a husband, and I've got 119 others. No, you don't, bitch. The biggest honor that can be bestowed upon us as a coach and a coach's wife is a parent and a student athlete deciding to come play for us. Yeah, because we bring you hundreds of millions of dollars. You see what I'm saying? We're sending everybody to college. We're paying for everybody's car. We're buying everybody's house. We're doing it all. They are not the answer. Why do you need your child to play sports any fucking way? Why? 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 Meanwhile, the child in India is not doing sports. They're doing engineering and medicine, you see, and science, and so is the kid in China, and go on and on and on. It's only your black asses that want to send your children into these fucking sports. For what? It's the biggest honor to have them to come play for us and be a part of our family. They came to Florida to win a national championship, but no, they don't need to come to Florida to do that. Or any place else. Our children, our men, our males, our girls, whatever, if we're going to do any athletics, we're superior to anybody on the earth, and everybody else knows it. There is no greater athlete than the black athlete in anything on earth. There just isn't. But they also, I think, deserve a family that just loves them more than the world. And every day I want them to know how proud I am of each of them because they sacrifice so much and they work so, so hard, end quote, said the white whore. On its face, it is completely noble. No, it's not. Again, that sentence can't exist. On its face, comma, it's completely noble, period. No, it's not noble. Because I open up citing George Stinney and Emmett Till and others. There's nothing noble about a white woman kissing a black male at all. For any reason. You understand? Ever. From now to the end of time. Meanwhile, that same heifer that's kissing our black boys will swear that she was standing there and saw OJ do it. She will probably also proclaim that Michael Jackson, even though he's in his grave, she's one of those people who want to dig him up. And he'll never be innocent in her eyes. And on I can go. These are the same people. On its face, it's completely noble. No, it's not. Heartwarming, even. In the cold world of the collegiate sports industrial complex. No, it's not. This one white bitch can make all that just comfortable. If you watch the video of that interview and observe her ass on game days, You can't possibly think she has anything but genuine affection for these players and the purest intention. This person needs to be stabbed off the earth. You see? I don't know if the writer is black or white. It doesn't matter at this point. They're just wrong. You understand? Because that's not what my conscious eyes see. Hear that again. If you watch the video of the interview and observe her on game day, you can't possibly think that has anything but genuine affection for these players and the purest intentions. No, I see a white whore getting free feels up on our young boys. That's what I see. And no doubt getting some microsexual gratitude out of that. You see, it's right up there what I've told you in the past about these guys that walk around sagging. That's not for the females. It's not for the women. Proof of this, and I have a list, but just one of my items from my list is the fact that you'll see a brother with his girl and the baby and everything, and he's still showing his ass. Because that's not for the women. These brothers are getting a homoerotic experience of having their ass out. It's homoerotic. Go and look it up. One of my videos I did in the distant past, I put up the whole definition of homoerotic and all that. Go and look it up. That's your homework. Homoerotic. You understand? So they don't have to be gay to have this experience. They just it's a freaky thing, you see. And this is in that same line of arousal as I diagnose it. So she's not coming with genuine affection and pure intentions. But as the saying goes, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Okay, that might be a bit harsh, but if you take a milder interpretation of that saying, you'll catch my drift. The optics of a diminutive white heifer inhabiting the personal spaces of large young black men carries a lot of baggage. That's not Megan's fault, per se, and it's certainly not the player's fault. Well, it is her fault, because again, you must be guilty by association. I've already said to you, there are Arabs being born now that are in the ICU at the hospital that will be profiled as terror targets and potential terrorists simply because they're Middle Eastern. They won't be able to say, well, I wasn't even born when 9/11 happened. You see? Because they want to saddle everybody else with their past, including Bill Cosby and anybody else. They want to saddle you with your past, but you're supposed to forget them when this is the biggest terrorist on the earth, the biggest purveyor of violence and mayhem on humanity in recorded history. You understand me? So, and let us not forget also our brother Botham Shimjan, who is in a cold grave now because of a white bitch. Because of. You see? We have to see this as what it is. That historically and currently, these are the wives and daughters and whatever of the slave master, and they're just as taboo today as they've ever been. You understand me? The fault lies in our nation. No, again, that's them titles that I tell you guys about, them words. Like what do you say? That's not Megan's fault per se, and it's certainly not the player's fault. That the fault lies in our nation. Again, what a nation? What's that? It's like the system, or this program. No, there's a person. You understand? In this case, that is the fault of white people, because the nation is who? That's a intangible thing. The nation. It's just a title. This nation that was built upon the backs of people that look like Gators players, because this is a fake ass bitch right here, a Christian no doubt, who can't even say black and white, because he should have said white there before that, and then now in this one he says the nation was built upon the backs of, couldn't say black people, was built upon the backs of people that look like the Gators players. Which one? The one with the dreads or the one with the low cut fade? Which ones they look? Which one? You see, this is a problem. This is you being read back to you, black people. Fake weak hearts, weak-hearted people who don't know the Creator and don't fear the Creator. And as I always tell you, if you fear anything other than the one that made you, you don't know the one that made you. You understand? Period. I don't care what Masters told you. That's the final word. You fear anything or anyone other than the Creator. You don't know the Creator. That's not up for debate. It was built on the backs of people who look like gay players at the behest of people that look like this whore and her husband. This nation that has a history of harassment and abuse by people in power over those subject to said power. This person needs to die off. Die off. Die off. We the people are this nation. So says the preamble of our Constitution. It's their Constitution. We're not going to get through this article, everybody. We're not going to get through it. We're not because this is making me sick. I'm getting worked up. All right. It is incumbent on us to understand how that baggage, both past and present, impacts each and every one of us and each and every one of our interactions, no matter how well intentioned. No, we don't have any work to do. Dumb ass. What's the name again? Jared Hector. We don't have any work to do. We don't need to do any analyzing and figuring out and studying. We don't have that to do. That's not our burden. You understand? And we don't need to take white people by the hand and say, well, this is how such and stuff is, as if they live in some other nebula. But they still have no problem perpetrating their evil and hate every single day. Nah. 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 Oh my God, this is worse than her. As the head football coach, Dan Mullen is in effect these players' boss. He controls their football and academic futures. Megan, by extension, shares in that power and privilege. It's an issue of power and consent. It is unlikely that a player, if he felt so inclined, would feel comfortable telling this whore, hey, I really don't want your wife hugging or touching me or invading my personal space. No. Forget that. Again, they don't know their power. Because this team doesn't exist without their black ass. There are no championships. There is no game. You understand? There's no advertisers. There's no stadium. Nothing happens without them. So instead of them embracing and understanding that and saying, you don't touch us, so we're out of this bitch. That's all you got to say. But they're afraid. You see? Because this fake-ass game is more important to them than their self-dignity, their honor, their ancestors, and the Creator and the hereafter. I can't. Think about that sentence, or this paragraph. As the coach, he's their boss. He controls their football and academic futures. The whore, by extension, shares in that power and privilege. You don't have, listen, nobody, hear this. Nobody has power over the Jedi. Do you understand me? Except for the divine. But he's told me he's given me free will. So understanding that, I say after the divine, no one has any control over the Jedi. You understand? You don't control me. You don't have anything over me. You have no power over me. You give your power away when you anoint somebody else and says they have power. Nah. You don't get no power. No power. You feel me? So, essentially what he's articulating there is that they have to be afraid of her because if she's not pleased, then she could tell her husband and that can ruin it for them. No, all y'all can ruin it for all they white ass. See what I'm saying? If we don't do it, then they don't get done at all. It's an issue of power and consent. It is unlikely that a player, if he so felt okay to tell her to back the fuck off in his personal space. It is intended as an outward expression of affection, sure, but perhaps some of the guys don't like to be touched and feel uncomfortable. Well, then they should say that. You know, but see, I'm at the part before you even get to them even existing. You see, it's like this doesn't even exist. Because none of our black people are playing for any of their teams, both college and professional. Like, this doesn't even exist. I'm there. You see? It doesn't even get to this. Football teams are known to be conformist by nature. Well, I could articulate an objection to that statement. Everyone pulling together for a common goal and all that. Nah. They want your black ass for their profits. for their generational wealth. That's it. And they sell you this idea that it's such a great sport and it's so important and it's the American thing and They just let you be all in that hype. We about to play the game. We gonna win. You be sitting on your fucking couch on goddamn it Sundays. We go with your fucking throwback on. We're this and we gonna win and we going to the championships and we and your ass ain't doing nothing but handing over your damn time and your money and your allegiance to white generational wealth that should belong only to us. Oh my God, I can't. I don't know if we're going to get to the other stuff for you guys. It's going to be a long video. I'm just letting you know. And if you can't take it, click away now. Get to clicking. Pulling together for a common goal and all that. If 6 of every 10 players are okay with it, or even welcome it, do you think the remaining 4 will speak up? No, because they're punk bitches, and black men are punk bitches. I've said that a million times. I'm going to continue to say it. When I look around the throne room, I see population 1, the Jedi. That's it. I really don't know any men. You feel me? I really don't know any men. I really don't know any men. You feel me? And kings. I just know like grown-ass males. Megan is standing outside the bus. No, the white whore is standing outside the bus. No, the horny whore. The tramp. That works for me. The tramp is standing outside the bus waiting, and there's an expectation that you engage with her. You see? Listen, if you don't have the courage of your own conviction to be the master of your own vessel, then you should just die off the earth today. You feel me? I had a buddy of mine, Hakeem. He knows I'm aware of who I am and where I am and who these people are and what the relationship is to us. There's no way I'm just engracing myself to any of these people, to embrace or shake their hand or do any of that. It's just not happening. I'm entitled to that, and I didn't make it such. Again, I'm the owner of how I deal with my oppression, not by their permission. You understand? So I will always own the courage of my conviction. So he comes up one day, this is the other place I lived, and he was like, oh man, this is so-and-so. And the guy extended his hand. I was like, I don't shake your hand, dude. I don't shake hands with people like you. I don't do that. I don't do that. And I just turned to Hakeem and started having my conversations. He didn't exist. Alright? So, fine, deal with that. But go tell the Arab who is coming from an Arab-speaking country, go tell him that. When he tries to say, well, I wasn't even born on 9/11. Like, I'm 18 years old. You feel me? Go tell him that. You see? No. What's good for the goose is good for the damn gander. Go tell the so-called Zionist Jew that they should now embrace all the sons and daughters of Nazi soldiers. Go tell them that. Go tell them that. Go tell them. Remember, these people, when Obama, the first sitting president to visit Hiroshima, that they bombed in World War II, they bombed Nagasaki and Hiroshima, Japan, and the first thing out of their white mouths surrounding his visit was he better not go there and apologize. What state of mind do you have to be in? You see? But you're supposed to forget the past. They want everybody else to forget. But they walk around indicting everybody for everything. You see? We're not going to have it that way. We're not. And if anybody's entitled to not have to live through that, it's definitely us. No question about it. You understand? So you need to be able to walk. They need to have the courage of their conviction to be able to walk out and say, no, don't touch me. I appreciate you. No hard feelings, but I just don't need you hugging and kissing up on me. I just don't need to. You see? And me being who I am, my son would have on a big ass Emmett Till shirt. You feel me? There's an expectation to engage with her ass. There is no opportunity for a player to opt out. It is in front of everyone with cameras rolling. That's the main time that you refuse it. Is when cameras are rolling and everyone is watching. You see? As the adult, this tramp needs to be aware of her power and privilege in this instance and think about each and every one of her 119 children in quotations, and recognize that they are all different and might feel differently about this. And I also want to cite this too. You remember it was the white whore that used to go to the slave quarters and tell the slave, if you don't sleep with me, I'll tell master that you tried to get at me and have him beat you or lynch you. This is the same historical white bitch today, everybody. The same historical white bitch. The same historical. Many online have cried that this is a classic example of double standard, and they wouldn't be wrong. If a black husband of the coach of a majority white women's tennis, swimming, or golf team was seen standing outside the bus and giving each young woman a hug and a kiss, what do you think the reaction would be? And they put a period there and a question mark. It should be, what do you think would be the reaction from white people? You see? Because it's a black-white issue, you see? And again, we don't ever see this. They don't do this to anybody else. We will never read any story of them, some white bitch off waiting for the Vietnamese or the Koreans or the Chinese or the Arab boys. And all. No, it's always something with us. Always. Always, fucking always. And I'm over it. The animus that exists between blacks and whites, as it relates to black men and white women, goes all the way back to the antebellum South. You see? And again, he just puts the animus that exists. No, the history of lying white bitches that have caused the murders of black men by white women goes all the way back to the antebellum South. That's how it should read. Countless black men were beaten and killed for imagined offenses against white bitches. This nation's first major blockbuster film, D.W. Griffin's The Birth of a Nation, portrayed black men as unintelligent and sexually aggressive towards white women, a belief still possessed by some, and a trope many laws that still exist were built upon. You see? This is not the fault of any of these players. And it's not Megan's either. This writer needs to jump off a cliff. But as an adult, the responsibility is on her. Well, they're old enough to know better. You see what I'm saying? So it's definitely on her to keep her white hands off of them. But it's also up to their parents. Listen, there's no way any child of mine would even go through this, everybody. This is the difference. This is the difference. Because you think it's wrong for you to feel bad about Massa today, even though he's doing the same shit you've always ever done. You going into the water simply because they've said it's safe, the water is safe. Instead of you proclaiming for yourself, no, I determine if the water is safe or not. I determine that. As the person with the power and privilege, she needs to be keenly aware of everything. Her intentions cannot be the only thing she's considering. There are 119 young men whose feelings also matter. Not in her eyes. Someone is probably reading this and struggling to understand why this incident is such a big deal and why it has sparked outrage. Well, I am outraged. Anybody who's reading this that doesn't understand it, he doesn't even need to mention them. But I'm so vindictive that any child of mine or any friend of a child of mine, I'll be like, here's what I want you to do. You're going to go to the press and say the bitch was trying to feel on your scrotum. That's what you're going to do. You see, what's good for the goose? What's good for the goose? What's good for the goose? That's the thing about race, privilege, and power dynamics, particularly if you're black. Sometimes your experience is acutely, and it makes you feel some type of way. On other days, you might not. Sometimes we know what it is, but can't articulate it either due to sheer exhaustion or either to United States Supreme Court Justice. Sometimes we know what it is, but can't articulate it either due to sheer exhaustion or literally what United States Supreme Court Justice Potter Stewart said in 1964 when describing the threshold of obscenity, and in parentheses, hardcore pornography. He said, quote, "I shall not today attempt further to define the kinds of material I understand to be embraced within that shorthand description, hardcore pornography. And perhaps I could never succeed in intelligibly doing so, but I know it when I see it," end quote. The intentions were good, but I know an abuse of power, albeit unintended, when I see it. Rivals.com reporter Jacque somebody big word, who interviewed the whore in that 2018 video, reached out to BET via Twitter and said the following, quote, "Players are not forced to hug her, and some don't. They simply walk past her and nothing is made of it. Again, it's their choice." No, don't give me, no. It's not about whether it's not their choice or not. It's just this white bitch doesn't even be out there touching nobody. Period. And I am firm that her motive for doing it is to just get some free feel on these bodies of these boys. That's it. Because she's all up in their hair and pushing her nose against theirs. You feel what I'm saying? She is getting an erotic feeling out of this, everybody. Damn it, now I know what I'm talking about. The universe has already told me. Oh my God, I'm over it. I can't. We're moving on. Bottom line is, you as African people, you make me sick, because, listen, I'm an army by myself, but alas, I'm only one. I always say that. For all the determination and grit and passion and fearlessness that I have, for one of me, there's 100,000 of you. You see? First of all, your child shouldn't be playing no damn sports. That's number one of all. Because that don't lead to no coin. You have a better chance of winning the lottery or being struck by lightning than to be a professional athlete. That's real. That's real. So why do we keep sending our kids off? And not only that, they are among the best. It'd be different if all the people they were competing with to get into these fields were white athletes. They'd be shoot in. But they're competing against their own. Greatness competing against greatness. So your child don't need to be out there, no way. I'm over it. I'm over it. I don't think I'm done talking about that. I really don't. I think there's going to be more to be said and to be had on that, because I can't. All this stuff is in no certain order, everybody. I made a note. I said, this is kind of just like a tail end, because this thought came to me. I want to end my talk on this subject, this horror, by saying this. This is a highly sexualized society. But again, God has protected the Muslim from that. And anyone who submits their will to the will that God has, to the way that God has ordained for you. So we are cocooned and protected from all of this. You see? There will never be any hashtag about the Jedi for anything, because I'm never going to be touching upon any female that's not related to me. And I won't even allow that to happen. You feel me? So there's no way this heifer would get near me. It just wouldn't happen. But this is a sexualized society, and these are boys who are not being taught at home the disciplines, the proper disciplines. So they're right at that age where horniness is the order of the day. You understand? Morning erections. You see what I'm saying? Constantly in the bathroom doing things I won't cite, but we all know. You see? This is a problem. And I would suggest to you, this thought came to me the other day. I believe there are foods and drinks that are out there that when you consume them, they provoke the desire for sex and horniness. I believe that. And I'm not talking about these so-called natural aphrodisiacs and all this kind of nonsense. I'm over it. I'm talking about it could be a slice of bread. It could be anything. You feel me? Like, their evil is also biological. You see? It's biological, goddammit. So, I can't. But I believe that there's probably foods that are out there that you eat and drink, and they trigger that. You know? I think I will work my way. Well, I'll just dispense of Wendy. I'll end on that. I won't end up fired up. Yeah, I should just go to the... So I want to talk about... I think I'll talk about Rodney Reed. Now... I've pulled a couple of updates to read about this case of Rodney Reed, but I want to remind you guys that just a few years ago, I don't remember, sadly and embarrassingly, I don't remember the brother's name, but there was a brother that was going to be executed. It might have been in Texas, and the Pope had reached out to the governor, and it was all these people getting involved saying stop the execution, and they still killed him anyway. You know, I want to take a minute and talk to other people of color who are not Africans. I want to talk to Asians. That means the entire diaspora of Asians, whether you're Filipino or Chinese, doesn't matter. I want to talk to Arabs. I want to talk to Native Americans. I want to talk to Latinos. It just everybody other than Africans that's not white. I want to say something to you, and this is the first time you've been addressed by anybody on the earth, what I'm about to say right now. No one else has done this, and you will know that that is not just some hyperbole, that that's real. No one else has done this. What I need you to start doing, and what I need to illuminate for you now, is to go deep inside your mind, no matter how old you are. I want you to begin to consider and reflect, really, on the fact that none of your people are starting wars. None of your people have military bases in over 175 countries. None of your people is installing puppet governments around the world. None of your people has dictated the currency of other nations. None of your people is calling their president or prime minister the leader of the free world. None of your people have ever had slavery as an institution, and specifically to prioritize the complete degradation of a human being. none of your people have ever written a single law proclaiming African people to be 3/5 of a human being. None of them. I can go on and on and on. My point is, we've never been at odds. We've never been at odds. And I need you to consider that when you're reading headlines and you hear sound bites and breaking news. I need you to get out of these words, like what we saw in the previous article where they used the word nation instead of specifying down to who. Because what I say to all of you, that when you begin to stop and think, you realize, and be honest with yourself, and don't agree with it just because I said it, but go and prove it for yourself. You will realize that indeed, wow, all of the strife has been and is being caused by white people. Wow. Wow. Give you an example of how I want you to disassociate yourself from the language. So you hear in the media, they'll say in this nation, they'll say, there's an opioid crisis. So that's just sort of this ambiguous event that's happening, you see. And it's easy to hear that and go, oh, there's an opioid crisis, and you just go with that and you start operating in that space. But I'm asking you to stop in place, okay, and go, wait a minute. White people have caused and are the victims of the opioid crisis. That when we say opioid crisis, we're talking about perpetrator and victim being white people. That's real. Because who owns the pharmaceutical companies? Who owns it? Who owns it? Alright? So there's your perpetrator. No African people are creators and runners of pharmaceutical companies. We're not doing it. You see? Neither are any of your people. You might be on some boards and some executives and you may work there and so do we. But it's not ours. It's not ours as Africans. It's not yours. It's all the groups I've named. And then we look and we go, oh, well, look, it's white people that are dying. That's the face of it. That's who's dying. That's who's abusing it. You see, you got to stop and start thinking about events. So when we say police brutality, no. The proper way to describe and visualize that is white police are killing and murdering African people under the fiction of law. You see, when you slow stuff down to slow motion, it doesn't matter what it is. You can be watching something on TV and something you don't see something. You slow it down. You see, you go, the way you see it in slow motion, I didn't see that. But you see, if you do it in slow motion, you can see it. Look, you can see it. You see. That's what you got to start doing, because we know it as African people. It's essential and important to me that others who are not white begin to recognize it. And you never thought about it before I said it. And you go, wait, that's right. That's right. They have you thinking war and aggression and conquering is something that's just in the way of mankind. No. White people have been aggressing and conquering. That's their history. It's all violence and savagery. That's real. That's real. These are the people who came to this land that they know as America. And there were already people here. Yet they arrogantly proclaim that a white man discovered it. Discovered it. Discovered it. If I come to your house right now, did I discover it? You've been there 20 years, like just you. Like there's other generations, your grandma and your grandpa, they had the house and somebody else before them. No, but I discovered it. I discovered it. I discovered it. It's the Jedi. I discovered it. I did that. You go, you didn't discover it. We've been here for generations. Like, get out of my house. You see. And lastly, I would ask white people who proclaim or who try to or who wish to declare themselves as innocent and really hold no animus towards people of color, certainly Africans. I challenge you now to be honest and go, yeah, that's true. Instead of having the usual white knee-jerk reaction of trying to include everybody else in your savagery. Well, you can't just say, you always start with, you can't just say, yes, I can just say. And I did and I will, because that's the truth. You see? And we must understand the truth doesn't change just because you don't accept it. The truth, one of the glorious things about truth is that it will be, and it doesn't need permission. Doesn't need no permission. And there's nothing you can do about it. You see? Nothing you can do about it. They talk about the Holocaust. What was the Holocaust? Well, let's slow it down in slow motion. Let's get that remote. Let's do it down in slow motion. Wait. Let's get that remote. Slow motion, slow motion. Wait. Holocaust. White people killing white people. That really is what the Holocaust is. Wow. Wow. You see? We're not going to get into those are people from Poland and Germany. They're not Semitic, therefore they're not Semitic Jews. They're certainly not the people of the Scripture, the Quran, and the Torah. No, we won't need to get into that. We won't get into that. We don't need to right now. You see, you slow it down in slow motion. You go, yeah. Hitler was a white man. Stalin was a white man. Keep going. You see. So when we look honestly at current day and any history, we see the perpetrators are white hands. That's what we see. Lastly, I'll say this. You hear this now. Well, the country's just so divided. The country's so divided. So you have fake candidates, corporate candidates like Joe Biden come out. It's about restoring the soul of this country. as if there's been this, as if there was some righteous, moral utopia that we all were existing in. And then suddenly with Trump, it just all went south. There was always this unity and togetherness. There was never any segregation and strife and racism and slavery. No. There was always this utopia of bliss, and so he wants to restore it, you see. But we slow it down in slow motion. Get that remote. Get your remote. Slow it down. Slow it down. And you go, wait just a second. White people are pissed off. White people are fragile. White people are paranoid. Every day in the press you're seeing something. It's them. It's them. And no matter how you react to that, or what you want to do with that, or how you place that, or categorize it, or file it, those are the facts. When you slow it down in slow motion, you go, yeah, that's just the damn truth. It just is. It just is. It just is. They're more content to bitch about and make up fictional history about Barack Obama than to acknowledge what he did in spite of their white asses, verbally saying our highest priority is to make him a one-term president and to say no to anything that he does. You see? White people sabotaging. You see? This is November. The 22nd of this month will mark the anniversary of the assassination of President Kennedy. White people killed Kennedy. White people assassinating presidents, from John Wilkes Booth to John Hinckley Jr. to Lee Harvey Oswald, if you believe that. You see, These are white people killing presidents. We have to identify the hand that is on all of this. We have to. You look at the strife of many African nations, it's directly tied to deliberate oppression of African people on the continent by white people. This is real. I don't care if they're French or Dutch or Belgian or German or American, doesn't matter. They're still white. We don't make any distinction between the region or the accent. They're still white people. Just like wherever you see, if I was in Iceland, I'm still an African. I'm just born and live in Iceland, but I'm an African. You understand? Your identity doesn't change based on geography. That's a construct of them. You see, these are the people who have lied about the physical makeup of the very earth that we live on. Lied. But the continent's all wrong, and wrong size and all of it. Same people. Same people. Same people. Same people. You see? And so they are the ones who have and are still continue to pollute all human history, writing themselves in where they don't exist, writing people out that did exist, taking credit for the contributions of other cultures on the earth, etc., etc. You know, doesn't matter what you look at, even down to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. There was no place on planet Earth known as Israel before 1948. Those are Zionist white people. They're not Jews. They're not holy people. Those are Zion, and even Orthodox Jews reject the whole state of Israel. You can look it up on the internet. They're absolutely against it. It's against their religious tenets. They're not supposed to have a state and all this sort of stuff. You can educate yourself. But again, that's white people installed in what they call the Middle East, which is a false construct. That's Northeast Africa. It's the northeastern part of the continent of Africa. Because if you're going to have Middle East, then where's the Middle North and the South and the Middle West? Where's that at? Poof, Middle East. What? East what? I'd like to buy a vowel. Can I buy a vowel, Alex? Can I just buy a vowel? I can't just, y'all got no vowels. Y'all got no vowels. I can't get no vowel. Did you get a vowel? You get one. There you go. You see what I'm saying? So I need other people of color who are watching this to just and white people to contemplate the truth that I just spoke. You'll find no fault with it. Denial will not be accepted. You see, because as I say, truth will exist no matter. It will be no matter what. It will be. It will be. It will be. So this case of Rodney Reed. Now the latest is that he has filed petitions saying 7 new witnesses could exonerate him. We're going to look at this. You know, you think about it. America is 5% of the world population. Yet, there's more people incarcerated in this country than all other countries combined. That is white people locking up other people. Just because some of them are incarcerated means nothing. They're always willing to sacrifice some of their own to make it look like it's everybody. You see? But we all know that the jails and prisons, their intent is for people that are not white. That's what we know. Understand? 5% of the population, yet more nuclear arsenal than anybody else on the planet. What are they so afraid of? Why are they so paranoid? You only need to arm yourself when you've created enemies for yourself. You see? And so now they feel the walls closing in. They're having more deaths than births per capita every year. So their numbers are dwindling. We know that even in this nation, it's impossible for any of them to have uh, uh, to be elected president without the African vote. They must have black people. They must. It's what we say. After everybody else has done their thing, we determine who's going to be president. It's us. It's us. And you'll notice, go back and look at the voting history, just even the last 15 years, even 20, whatever you want to do, and you'll see them targeting black communities to suppress the vote. White people suppressing black vote. It's not Arabs suppressing the black vote. It's not Asians. It's not Latinos. It's not Natives. It's not, Aborigines. It's not, keep going. It's none of the rest of humanity. It's white people suppressing black vote. That's what the real facts are. Again, get your remote and hit that slow motion. Slow motion. Slow motion for me. Slow motion for me. You feel me? Now, this brother is not guilty. And this is yet again why no white heifer should be kissing up on black boys. You see? Because this is a white heifer that was murdered. And you have white people willfully and knowingly incarcerating the wrong man. Now they have to be questioned because there's evidence about their deed. We're not going to say mistake. Even if we allow that it was a mistake, now you are being shown of your mistake. So that mistake now goes from mistake to willful act of murder. You see? Texas death row inmate Rodney Reed files petition saying 7 new witnesses can exonerate him. Excuse me. Lawyers for Rodney Reed, the Texas inmate set to be executed next week, said in a legal filing that testimony from 7 new witnesses helped to prove his innocence. Monday's filing with the Texas Court of Appeals provided to CNN by the Innocence Project lists 7 witnesses who have provided testimony that the court has not seen before, 4 of whom provided sworn affidavits within the past few days. Rodney was sentenced to death more than 20 years ago. 20 years of this man's life. You have one arc of life from birth to death, from your mother's womb to the cradle of the grave. Anybody interrupting my arc like this, I will not stop until they are destroyed from the earth. That would be my only mission on earth. I wouldn't be coming out with no love and forgiveness, and my entire intent would be revenge upon those who knowingly did this. I don't see how I could do anything else. I don't see how I could do anything else unless I was brainwashed. But he was sentenced more than 20 years ago for the 1996 assault, rape, and strangling of 19-year-old Stacy somebody in Bastrop. But Reed and attorneys with the Innocence Project say they have evidence that exonerates him and instead implicates the chick's fiance at the time, Jimmy Fennell, who was a police officer, meaning a paid murderer of African people. The case has drawn the attention of lawmakers, religious leaders, and celebrities such as Kim Kardashian and Rihanna, and more than 2.8 million people have signed a petition. You can go and put in free Rodney Reed, everybody, and sign the petition online. And more than 2.8 million people have signed a petition on freerodneyreed.com asking this white governor, Greg Abbott, to halt the execution scheduled for 20th November. The new witness affidavits, which come from neighbors, colleagues, and associates of the chick, of the murder victim, and her dude. New witnesses affidavits which come from neighbors, colleagues, and associates of the victim and her bitch-ass husband or boyfriend paint their relationship as abusive and difficult. There's also additional testimony that underscores the assertion that the murdered chick was engaged in an affair with Rodney. And that's why I'm going to put up his picture now, everybody, because I said to you in a previous video, I think it's important to show what he looked like when he was younger. Because he doesn't look like that now. And the claim from his side is that indeed there was a consensual relationship, that a sexual interaction that they had together. And when you see the picture of him younger, I want you to be able to see that, yes, okay, obviously she would have been attracted to him. Nobody would be attracted to him now. I mean, I don't mean that in a shady way, like just like, he just like, I don't look like I looked when I was 19, even though I'm only 25, K.R. Watkins now, but I'm just saying, just, you know, people get older and they look different, all right? So, let me put that picture now. All right, so you could see, good-looking brother, you know? It's important to know that, you see? But anyways, there was abusive and difficult testimony. Okay, there is also additional testimony that underscores the assertion that, okay, she had an affair with him. All right, one witness attested that her boyfriend said something like, quote, "You got what you deserved," end quote, while looking at her body at her funeral service. The new testimony aims to refute the prosecution's portrayal of the boyfriend and her as a happy couple, eagerly anticipating their upcoming wedding, and further cast her boyfriend, the asshole, as a potential suspect in his fiance's murder. His devil ass was never charged in her death. His attorney, Robert Phillips, said his client denies any involvement, and of course he denies it. And he said the stories were lacking in credibility. Well, I'm over it. All right. There's no, quote, "There's no evidence that's worthy of presenting, even to a grand jury, that this asshole was somehow involved," the attorney said. All right. But then the Innocence Project, the lead prosecutor for Rodney's case, maintains he is guilty, and has said that DNA evidence from her body proves it, that her boyfriend is fucking guilty. A large amount of credible, well, I guess he would have been the fiance then, whatever. Okay, a large amount of credible evidence, including irrefutable DNA evidence, the testimony of witnesses, and the pattern Rodney Reed followed in committing his other sexual assaults. And the pattern Rodney Reed followed in committing his other sexual assaults show beyond a reasonable doubt that he raped and murdered. Did they misprint something? The Innocence Project leads Rodney's defense. Okay, the lead prosecutor for Reed's case. I was thinking I was sorry, his own people was speaking against him. Alright, so these are the prosecutors in the case. Maintain he's guilty and that his DNA evidence proves it. Alright. And, quote, the prosecutor says a large amount of credible evidence, including irrefutable DNA evidence, the testimony of witnesses, and the pattern of his that he followed in committing his other sexual assaults show beyond a reasonable doubt that he raped and murdered this chick. And Lisa Tanner. Oh, this is said by somebody named Lisa Tanner. All right, the prosecutor. But Reed's attorneys say his DNA was on her body because they were engaged in a consensual sexual relationship. You see, again, as I said in the previous piece, white women are always in a state of lust over black men. And they shouldn't be embarrassed to just admit that. We're hot. Damn it. We just are. We just are. We just are. We just are. The Innocence Project noted that Reed, who is black, I'm going to say African, was convicted by an all-white jury. White people sending black people to jail. The group also says the murder weapon was never tested for DNA evidence and that forensic experts admitted to errors in their testimony, and that a former prison inmate claimed someone else confessed to the murder that sent Rodney to prison. Bryce Benjay, a senior staff attorney with the Innocence Project, called the case a miscarriage of justice, end quote. 2008, the fiancé, the asshole boyfriend, pleaded guilty to charges of kidnapping and improper sexual activity with a person in custody while he was a fucking officer in Georgetown, Texas. A woman he detained when he was responding to a domestic dispute call accused him of rape. He was sentenced to 10 years, you see. A former inmate who but we want to thank them for their service, and they put their lives on the line every single day for us, and no the fuck they don't. You understand? The people that are putting their lives on the line for us every day is an airline pilot. You know what I'm saying? He's got to climb to 45,000 feet and he's got 300 people behind him. That's somebody who's putting their life on the line with every takeoff and landing. Don't give me some donut eating fat racist walking around looking for shit and that's the person who's putting their life on the line? Ha ha. I'm over it. If that's the case, I'm Miss Universe. Know this. A former inmate who served with time with the asshole said in an affidavit filed this month that the asshole confessed to killing the chick. Quote, Jimmy said his fiancée had been sleeping around with a black man behind his back, wrote Arthur Snow Jr., who was serving a sentence for forgery in a Texas prison in 2010 in the affidavit. I want to stop and say this. You know, it's something I've touched on in the past when I've talked about, you know, we always talk about how women, you know, everybody knows that when a man cheats or a female thinks that her man is cheated on her, she always wants to see the other chick. And sadly for sisters, they want to fight the other chick. For what? For what? Both of y'all should gang together and beat his ass. You feel me? But the point I want to make is that I've made this statement in the past, I'm sure, because it's part of how I think and what I believe. And that is that when a sister cheats on you, that brother, you want to see that other dude. Because you want to see, is he taller than you? Is he better looking than you? And you also want to know, is he packing more meat than you? You feel me? I need to mention that because, and brothers know that's true. They know it's true. They know it. You see? But I needed to mention that because that is times 1,000 now with a white man. Nothing's going to enrage. It's one thing his woman's cheating on him. That'd be enough to piss him off, as it would with any man. But it goes up 1,000 when it's been with a black man. Because he can't understand strike that. Because he can understand and physically see with his eyes that we are intriguing and arousing. We just do anything. We just walk or do anything. You just see us in a car and you look over, you're like, damn, you want us. So his anger is times 1,000 when he knows it's been a black man. And there's rumblings that go on amongst white men when they're in their hush circles. They talk about black men and our virility and all that. And our superior size status. That goes on. You see? So, of course. And then add to that we're supposed to be less than him too. And that your woman slept with a black man. He's over the moon. It's lava coming out of his eyes. Do you understand what I'm telling you? So we need to understand the level of fury that would be provoked by something like this. And so that would be, you could understand the craze that he would go into and would want her dead, you see. So I'm just really giving you motive, but really driving it home. You understand what I'm saying? Toward the end of the conversation, Jimmy said confidently, quote, I had to kill my nigger-loving fiance, he wrote. End quote, he wrote. See? Because again, we just a nigger to him. You feel me? We less than him. You see? Yet we're better than you in every single way. That's why you're so obsessed with holding us back from everything. Because when we do it, we outshine you in every single way. Every single way. Every single way. I also need to say to my non-African, non-white listeners that jealousy is not a natural human emotion. This is a learned response from white people. It's a learned reaction and response and behavior from that humanity has picked up from them, and they've normalized it and made you think that that's something you should be invoking when you don't get your way, or somebody has something more than you, or they're better than you, that you should be jealous. You see, it's not a natural human emotion. There's no jealousy in the creation that God has created. It's only in them. You understand? I'm speaking from my life experience and my observations of paying attention and not just wandering blindly through. You understand? This is the truth I speak. Indeed. We'll do one more that's supposed to be the most recent. And, you know, not only should they, because this isn't just about stopping the execution. This is about stop the execution and let him out forthwith. Like, he doesn't need to serve even 2 more seconds behind bars, you know. But you can't get back 20 years of your life. Think about what you were doing 20 years ago. Think about what you were doing. I mean, I was 5 years old, so whatever. But just K.R. Watkins. But just think about what you were doing 20 years ago. You know? And you realize the robbery and the true crime upon this brother. True crime. True crime. True crime. While this is coming up, I will say this. Because I can just dispense of this quickly. You know, Wendy Williams, I'm sure she must have a really good security team. Because I think she's making herself a target, dude. Because this interview she did with Robin Crawford did not come off to me as... She came off to me as a very level-headed woman who was in control of her faculties and her emotions and all that stuff. And if she's articulating to you that her and Whitney Houston wanted to handle you, that should stop you. If you watch her, she's a devilish, vindictive bitch. Because I've seen her have people on the couch, just like Robin was up there and confronting her. She, well, no, and so, and looking at the audience like as if it's, but you could tell she's got to force herself through these moments. Because the natural human thing would be to do is to acquiesce or to apologize or to move to something else or something like this, you know. She loves exposing the ages of women, you know, that come on the show, or bring up some scandal that you recently had, just like poof on the fly, but in a vindictive way. There's ways to bring up scandal and stuff like that if your intent is pure, you know, but hers is not. You see it? You feel what I'm saying? I mean, I cannot stand her, dude. I cannot stand her, and I didn't really think that we got anything really all like that from the interview. I didn't really feel like, because I feel like she was cutting her off, and she you know, I thought she was going to use the time for the whole time for the interview. I don't need to ask Wendy. You have an interview like that, you make that your entire fucking show. This was even bad business even. She did her little hot topics at the beginning. You don't need that. This is a special day. You're doing this woman. That's it. You feel me? Like, I don't need Ask Wendy or any of the other bullshit. Like, just focus on this. So it was just, it was a non-interview. You know, I didn't feel like I came away with anything that I like, wow, that was value in that. I found out something new, and I didn't find out shit. Nothing. Nothing. It was a waste of television. Do you understand what I'm telling you? It was a waste. And She looks like a man, and all she do is that fucking center part every damn day. That damn blonde center part. I'm over it. She looks like a man to me. She looks like a man. I hate everything she's ever worn. Anytime I've ever seen her, ever, I hate what she's wearing. There's never been a single day that I've seen her show, and I don't watch her all like that. Like, it just, if something like this I know about, some interview like this I'm going to watch, or something, it's got to be something. But I've never seen her ever and go, oh, that looks nice. I hate everything that she's ever worn. Do you understand me? Everything. And she looks like a man. She looks like a man. She looks like a man. And she's trying to act like she's dipping and doing it like she's so hot. Listen, any brother that's going to get with her is just to get her money. If you're looking for a queen, a princess, or somebody to sit on the throne next to you, Wendy Williams is not it physically or intellectually. She's nothing. She's not a desirable woman. She's not desirable. For some little thug dude out there that just want to be around some money and get some thing, fine. A play piece, but only as a play piece. Like, it wouldn't be any more than like if you just had some lotion and some towels. You feel me? Like, there's nothing desirable about her at all. Nothing. She's disgusting to me. I do not like her. Did I mention I don't like her? I don't know if I mentioned it. Anyways. So, I can't stand her, and I hope the bitch's show gets canceled. Alright, death row inmate Rodney Reed is scheduled to be executed 20th November amid a movement advocating for an execution stay and retrial. What to know? Alright. Rodney Reed, a death row inmate in Livingston, Texas, is currently scheduled to be executed on 20th November, but in recent weeks his case has received widespread attention and a wave of support from celebrities, activists, and lawmakers who are calling on the state to stop the execution. In 1996, Reed, who's now 51, was found guilty of the abduction, rape, and murder of 19-year-old Stacy Stites in Bastrop, Texas. He has always maintained his innocence, and according to his lawyer, Bryce Benjay, who has been working on Reed's case for 18 years, there's evidence and witness statements that clear Reed. Reed, who is black, was found guilty by an all-white jury. I want to stop and say this, everybody, because I need to contrast this. They're coming up with legislation and all this for the opioid crisis, and it's such a crisis. Anytime a white person even so much as breaks a nail, it's a crisis. But as long as it's happened to somebody else, it's not a crisis. It's not an urgent issue. Yet you had, I saw a story out in California, in San Francisco, the district attorney that they just elected is against cash bail, which only affects African people and people that are poor. You see? And yet you had full policemen's union coming out and paying money to support the candidate against him. Why are police involved in politics? Sit your bitch ass, fake punk bitch asses down, cowards. You understand? Police are nothing but cowards with guns. That's all they are. They're not noble people. They're not. Because I told you, you can't be. Because we've seen story after story after story of somebody that actually was trying to be a good cop, and the whole fucking department turns on them. They get harassed. They get dead rats put on their stuff. All kinds of stuff. You can't be a good police. You see? It's not that there aren't. There can't be. Because they don't. That's not how they want to operate. They don't become police to do righteous. They want to be badass, punk-ass wimps with guns. That's it. You see? But I mention it to say that it becomes a crisis. It's a crisis. But here is something that's been affecting African people for generations. And it's not an emergency. And oh, by the way, tying the cash bail into this, many of those brothers are in jail forever and ever, especially when crack cocaine was unleashed on our community. Because no African people are trafficking drugs into the country. That's white people trafficking in drugs and giving it to black people to distribute amongst their community. You see, again, we have to identify the white hand behind it. We just have to. We have to. You see. But no emergency with that, you see. And then an all-white jury. An all-white jury. I'd like to see now, show me the case, show me the U.S. case of the people versus anybody where a white person was sent to prison with an all-black jury. Somebody find that case and bring it before me. Just bring it before me. Bring it before me. Such an epidemic it is that you remember in the last 3 years or something like that, there was a black judge that threw out the entire jury of a black defendant because they were white. You're supposed to have a jury of your peers. No white person is my peer. They can't understand my struggle. They see me in that and think I'm guilty. Even if I'm not in a court setting. They could just see me at McDonald's. Black equals guilty to them. You see. But kudos to this judge because he threw out the entire jury. He's like, they're all white. The defendant's black. Like, what are you doing? Quote, I don't think you can ignore the role that racism plays in our criminal justice system because it's based on racism. End quote. Ben Jay tells Time magazine. In a rural part of Texas, the accusation of a black man raping a white whore is essentially a charge. Is essentially a charge, he argues. Wait, just a second. In a rural part of Texas, the accusation of a black man raping a white woman is essentially a charge. Like it's not even an accusation. It's a charge. Like you've been charged. Just if they think that happened, you're charged. A petition on freerodneyreed.com, which you guys are all going to go to and sign the petition, has over 2 million signatures, while another 300,000 people have signed a change.org petition in support of Reed. Quote, we need to persuade this white-ass Governor Greg Abbott, the Board of Pardons and Paroles, the Bastrop County District Attorney Brian Gortz, and other conservative elected officials to stay this execution. End quote. A statement on freerodney.com reads. And to review all the evidence that exonerates Rodney and eventually grant him a new trial. And I need to mention that this governor is a Republican. You see? What happened in the Rodney Reed case? In 1996, Stacy Stites or whatever was living with her fiance, the fucking fake-ass, wimp-ass cop. She was living with him. Was working at a grocery store 30 miles away from her home. She was scheduled to work a 3:30 a.m. shift on April 22nd. When she did not show up, a co-worker alerted the police. Her body was found later that same day on the side of a road. She had been raped and strangled. Rodney did not become a person of interest in the investigation until the following year, when police identified DNA found on Stites' body as his. At this time, he had been arrested and charged with the kidnapping, beating, and attempted rape and murder of another woman, Linda Schluter. This attack happened about 6 months after the Stites killing. Because of the similarities between the Schultzer and Stites cases, the police began investigating Rodney in the latter. Police already had Rodney's DNA on file from another alleged rape and matched it to DNA found on Stites' body. Reed was not prosecuted in either of these other two attempted rape cases. Reed has maintained that he and Stites had a consensual sexual relationship and that they were together the day before she went missing. During his trial, prosecutors used the DNA match as evidence against Rodney. They also portrayed the white chick and her fucking fat-ass boyfriend as a happy couple getting ready to be married. Rodney's defense team attempted to draw the jury's attention to other potential suspects, including her fat-ass boyfriend, who police had originally focused on as a person of interest, and noted that hair found on her body did not match Rodney's. Still, the jury found him guilty because they were all white. Because they're never interested in the facts. See? Never interested in the facts. Just what they think in their mind. Like, they didn't even hear the Mark Furman testimony in the OJ case. They just saw black man and white woman was killed, and in their mind, OJ is guilty till the end of time. Period. At the end. The state's call for capital punishment was due to past allegations against Rodney, who had been considered a suspect in attacks on 6 women, including Schultzer, but he was only charged in one of those cases and was later acquitted, having heard those allegations. Though unconfirmed, the jury also approved Reed's death sentence. You see? So they let them hear that, because it's just like what they did with OJ. They put on 2 fucking months, damn near, of just the domestic violence shit that happened when they were together. He had long been divorced and over this white bitch. But in the minds of white people, the domestic violence meant he was guilty of murder. So much was their furor that when the white press was chasing the jury foreperson the day of the verdict, when she finally stopped, she was like, look, first of all, this was not a domestic violence case. Because black people everywhere, when we were watching the trial, through conscious black eyes, we were going, why are they putting all this domestic violence stuff? We were over it. But white people, that's when they should have had the split screen, not at the fucking verdict. But white people were seeing that as evidence of murder. They're not the same thing. Don't get me started. So that's why I mentioned that, because they said, but he was only charged in one of those cases and was later acquitted. Having heard those allegations, though unconfirmed, the jury also approved the death sentence. You see, I can't. Vinjet said that Rodney continues to deny all the sexual assault and rape allegations made against him. What new evidence has been found in the case? According to Rodney's legal team, the prosecution case was flawed. Problematic examples they cite in the evidence compiled against Rodney include the murder weapon, a belt used to strangle the chick, has never been tested for DNA evidence. According to the Innocence Project, an organization that worked to exonerate wrongly convicted felons through DNA testing and criminal justice reforms, repeated requests for DNA testing of the murder weapon have been denied by the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals. You see, more white people denying appeals. That's white people doing that. Again, we have to identify. Because then you start seeing that the stuff isn't just happening autonomously in the society. There are white people doing it. The Texas Court of Criminal Appeals did not respond to the Times request for comment. So I'm saying they do their evil and they run. No comment. Typical modus operandi. Typical behavior. Typical. Forensic scientists on Rodney's legal team also dispute the timeline prosecutors laid out for the chick's murder. They argue that she was killed hours before authorities were notified of her disappearance, and not in the 2-hour window that the prosecution alleged, a discrepancy that could mean the chick was actually killed before she had left for work. Forensic experts called upon during Rodney's original trial have since admitted that affidavits that the original time of death recorded for the chick is not necessarily accurate. Well, they need to go their ass to jail too. That's what I'm saying. These state witnesses, okay. In 2007, her fat-ass boyfriend was accused of rape by a woman he detained while working as we know that already. All right, we won't need to read that. It was during the prison sentence that his fat ass confessed to killing. Anyways, how have people tried to stop his execution? I don't really need to get into that. I don't want to waste your time or mine. It's make for interesting reading, but we're just not going to do it. But you do need to go to freerodneyreed.com, everybody, and sign the damn petition. You need to do that. So that no matter what happens, you can at least say that you tried to do something. You know? Think about it this way. Close your eyes for a moment. And imagine you're the one sitting on death row. Just imagine. You would hope that anybody who was able would just do whatever they could for you. You know? Whether it was going to succeed or not, just could you please just do this for me? You would be thinking that. You know? So you have to do it. You have to. You don't have a choice. You must. You must. You must. You must. You must. You must. Anyways, I also mentioned to you all that Tatiana Jefferson's father died on Saturday of a heart attack. You know, and Empress de Akibalan, mi canalita, we were talking about this. She was saying, you know, he died of a broken heart. I would join that assertion, but I would add that, you know, we know that hypertension and high blood pressure runs amongst our people because white people stress us the fuck out. That's real. That's real. That's real. That's real. And so, he was already a stressed out man just by definition that he's an African living in this white, hateful ass society. And has to even see and deal with these people or hear about the murder of his people every day and all these sorts of things. And then now his family's been touched by this violence. You know? It kills me when they talk about gun violence and gun safety. The way you cure all gun violence is take guns from white people. Problem solved. Problem solved. Again, to all my non-African, non-white people, go get your slow motion button. Get your slow motion button. Think about it. All the gun violence that we hear about. Gabby Douglas, or the Gabby chick, the congresswoman that was shot. The attack on the white people that was out there on some Congress people that was out there on the baseball field. Mass shooter. You know, mass shootings in malls and schools, Columbine and all of it. These are all white people shooting. It's not Arabs. It's not Asians. It's not Latinos. It's not Native people. It's not Aborigines. It's not, you feel me? Again, when you put that slow motion button, you go, wait, who's doing this? Who's doing it? Who's doing it? Oh, it's a white hand. It's a white hand. Then you begin to understand, oh, it's not just stuff happening. These are the perpetrators of this. You see? It's very important. It's very important. It's very important. Like, I can't even... Like, that's highly important. Do you understand what I'm telling you? It's just because it is. So, I don't need to run this out. You know, those are the main things that I wanted to come and share in this piece, you guys. I say in summation, parents, on the sound of my voice, stop doing your children a disservice. The stuff that I was even just saying to the non-African, non-white people, you should be telling your children that. Clear that up for them. You see? If they don't know their history, my grandmother used to always say, you know where you've been, but you can't tell where you're going. And if you don't know where you've been, you can't tell where you're going. History is the everything for us. Let us never buy into this, it's a long time ago and why can't you get over it and all this. No, we looking only at the history because that's telling us about your ass right now. Let's see. Yep, check that off. Yep, they just did that. Yep, see, say they do that too. You see, and you start checking stuff off. It's important that our children know these things. If they don't have the tools early on to be able to identify the snakish, devilish, cunning ways of these people, they're always going to be snarled up and be the victims of them. Period. That's what's real. Now, no damn body, no white woman should be touching up on African children, be they male or female, quite frankly, but certainly not our males. Period. The damn end. And like I said, I just squeezed in that little piece about Robin Crawford and the Wendy Williams interview. It was just like, I hated for her that she even went there for the interview. She could have went to Gayle King. Much we can't stand her ass, but she could have went to Gayle King, or Robin Roberts or somebody, Like, this was just, it was a non-interview. It was a non-event. It was nothing. But you have to go to freerodneyreed.com, everybody, and do what you can. Sign this petition, because we are this brother's only hope. And sadly, I'll end on this. Sadly, as I mentioned, there was another case a few years back, and I'd like to see even the Pope had gotten involved, and they still executed him. Well, until they understand that there'll be repercussions from black people, that it's not going to be marching and chanting and wait and see and wring our hands and wait. When those days are over and we are finally ready to have the proper reaction to shit, they'll stop testing us. And then it'll be to the point where there can be a phone call to the governor and say, you need to stop this execution, right? Or you know what black folks are going to do. You know what they're going to do, right? You see, if you're not interfering with somebody's very next breath or their wallet, you're not having any effect. You want to hide something? Put it right out in the open. What did you all learn as a child? Sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. This is the Jedi.